Good evening, everyone. I'm Carl Forbes Jr., President-elect of the Metropolitan Black Bar Association. On behalf of the MBBA, the Association of Black Women Attorneys, and Rank the Vote NYC, thank you for joining us this evening for a presentation by Nicole Yearwood to learn about ranked choice voting in New York City. Desiree, it's good to see you, Director from ABWA. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we'll turn over now to Nicole for her presentation and to conduct our mock election. Thank you, Nicole. The floor is yours.
I just want to say good evening and thank you to the Metropolitan Black Bar Association and ABWA for hosting this educational event around ranked choice voting. As Carl stated, I'm actually going to put a link into the chat for a mock election. This link is going to direct you to a site that's going to ask for your name and an email address. You can put any characters, letters, or numbers and just hit submit, and you'll be asked to rank your favorite noodle dish in honor of Asian American Heritage Month. So you should all see the link in the chat. If you don't, just let me know. I'll drop it again just in case, so that you can vote on the mock election. And in the middle of the presentation, I'll be going through the results that will help explain how ranked choice voting works. And with that, I'm going to share my screen. So everyone should see ranked choice voting NYC on the screen. Perfect. So just a quick recap on the changes to upcoming local elections in New York City. So how did we get to ranked choice voting? So in 2009, I don't know if you remember it, but I certainly do. Hi, can everyone just be sure to mute? Thank you, thank you. So in 2009, we had a very expensive and very low turnout runoff election for public advocate and comptroller. And after that particular runoff election, it kind of prompted and sparked the conversation about the use of runoff elections. In 2010, then Councilmember Gail Brewer introduced the first ranked choice voting bill in the City Council. In 2010 and in 2018, the New York City Charter Revision Commission explored the merits of ranked choice voting for our local elections, but decided they needed a little bit more time. In 2019, the New York City Charter Revision Commission voted 14-1 in favor of placing ranked choice voting on the ballot. So it was actually a ballot referendum in the November 2019 general election, and it was actually ballot question number 1. 75% of voters voted in favor of ranked choice voting, and it was scheduled to begin in 2021, and we are here. So why are we here? So in New York City, we have a very robust campaign finance system where New York City funds are matched 6-1 and 8-1. We also have term limits, which actually leads to a diverse and a wealth of candidates starting to run for office because incumbents are term limited out. And under the previous system of voting, they would risk splitting the vote. Under ranked choice voting, there's little to no risk of that. And I'll explain more about that later. But in the previous system, city council members were elected with a plurality, meaning whoever got the most votes won. In a situation where we have now, where we have 8, 9, 10, in some cases, 12 or 13 people running, someone could win with as little as 20% of the vote. But what that means is that 80% of the people who voted may have selected another candidate. So now ranked choice voting comes into play. What is changing? As of January 1st of this year, in all local, primary, and special elections for city council, borough president, public advocate, comptroller, and mayor, they will be using the ranked choice voting system. So this will not be used in the general election in November. Voters now have the option to rank up to 5 candidates, including a write-in. There'll be no more runoff elections, and candidates will now need more than 50% of the vote in order to be declared the winner. Election day is June 22nd. The last day to register to vote is May 28th. The last day to change your address, if you're already registered, is June 2nd. Early voting runs from June 12th to June 20th. And of course, on election day, polls will be open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. So what is ranked choice voting exactly? So on the right of the screen, you will see a mock ballot. On the left, a description. So let's talk about it. So you can rank up to 5 candidates. Your first choice candidate. This is the candidate that you love. And what do we mean by that? This is the candidate running for office. You may volunteer for them. You may contribute to their campaign. You may encourage friends and family members to also vote for them. This candidate aligns with you on the issues that you care about most. Their positions on things like education, climate change, criminal justice, housing, and so on, align closest with yours. And so for the purposes of this exercise, the first choice candidate is letter C. So C, candidate C here. So you look at the first choice column, you see this oval is shaded in that corresponds to the row letter C. Now we get to the second choice candidate. Now this is your candidate where if anything happened to your first candidate, this second choice is basically like that next in line. They check off many boxes for you. Maybe there's some reason you don't like them as much as the first, but they would still do a great job representing you. They align with you on all the issues or most of the issues that you really, really care about. And so you say, you know what, this is my second choice. And for the purposes of this exercise, candidate B is the second choice candidate. Candidates 3 and 4, they may not align with you on everything. Maybe they only check off a few boxes. You don't like them as much as your first 2, but they would do a good job. And they kind of align with you on the issues that you care about. And so the third and fourth choice candidates on the ballot here are candidates E and D. And then the fifth choice candidate, that is the candidate that, you know what, all else fails, they'll do a good job in the office. They will represent the district well. Not your favorite candidate. Maybe they don't check off all your boxes in terms of policy, but they'll do a good job. And for the purposes of this ballot, that is candidate A. So now we're going to just show a little video, a cute little exercise to show how ranked choice voting works.
Hi, I'm Mahir, and welcome to my bodega. As you may know, New York City has a new way to vote in special and primary elections. So, how does ranked choice voting work? The next time you vote in a city election, instead of choosing just one candidate, you can rank them all from your first choice to your fifth. Here's how it works. Let's say my bodega is picking its featured snack of the month. So many choices. Which one should I feature? This customer ranks Parker Pretzels as her top favorite. She also ranks her second choice, Mr. Chips, third choice, Chi-Chi Chicharrones, fourth choice, Gladys Gummies, and fifth choice, Poppy Popcorn. Other customers rank their choices as well. If Parker Pretzels is the favorite choice and wins more than 50% of all the first ranked choices, then Parker Pretzels is the winner and is featured as the snack of the month. However, if no snack gets more than 50%, then the least popular snack is eliminated. Sorry, Figgy Bars. The remaining second-ranked choices from customers who chose Figgy Bars are redistributed. So if customers chose chips and chicharrones as second choices, then those 2 snacks receive additional votes. The new totals are counted and the process repeats until there's a winner of the final 2. Congrats, Poppy Popcorn, you're the bodega snack favorite. Back in the real world, before it's time to vote for humans, visit rankthevotenyc.org for more information. Thank you, New York City, for voting and for making these special and primary elections your elections.
So before we go through what the ballot is going to look like, I'm going to check out the results of the mock election. So we have 311 votes. That means 156 votes are required to have more than 50%. So we see here, round one reflects the tabulation of all of the first choice votes for noodles. We see that Japanese ramen is in the lead with 84 votes. Beef noodle soup is in last place with 12. No one has the 156 votes required to win, which is one more than half. So now we're going to go into rounds. Going into rounds means that the noodle in last place will be eliminated, and those votes will be redistributed based on how the people ranked on their ballot. So for example, we have beef noodle soup in last place with 12 votes. These 12 votes will be redistributed based on how each of the 12 voters who identify beef noodle soup as their first choice picked their second choice. So I want to be very clear that the redistribution is not random. It is based on how each voter selected their second choice. And so we're going to go to round two. So now we see those votes are redistributed. Chow Fun is in last place with 15 votes and is tied with fried noodles. So in this instance, these two are going to be eliminated at the same time because they're in last place with the same number. And these votes will be redistributed again based on how these people indicated their choices on the ballot. And so now again, still no one has the 156 votes required to win. So this process will continue to happen. And in New York City, for our purposes, they will do this until we get to the top two candidates. And so we see here that Japanese ramen has won with 187 votes. Pad Thai is in second place with 103 votes. And we see here that 21 votes are exhausted. Now, what does 21 exhausted votes mean? These 21 exhausted votes mean that 21 people who voted in this election did not select either Pad Thai or Japanese ramen on their ballot. And so now what is our ballot going to look like? So this is giving us a good idea. So one thing to note, there are only 5 offices that use ranked choice voting. So we do have other elections. If you live in Manhattan, for example, we have a Democratic primary for district attorney. That is not ranked choice voting. That will be either on the back or on a separate page. But all of the ranked choice voting elections will be on the same page. And you'll see here the first choice, the first option through the 5th choice. And so, for example, let's say my preferred candidate for public advocate is Mosey Morales. I would go, my favorite candidate is Mosey. In the first choice column, this is where you're going to select your number 1 candidate. So I'm going to go here and I'm going to look for Mosey, the row that corresponds to her name. And I'm going to shade in this oval. Now, let's say my second choice, my backup candidate is Taylor. I'm going to go into the second choice column here. I'm going to go to the row that corresponds to Taylor's name. I'm going to shade in this oval. Cammie could be my third choice. If she's my third choice, again, I'm going to go into this third choice column. I'm going to shade in the oval that corresponds with the row next to Cammie's name, with her name in it. And so on and so forth. And so this is how you rank until you get to your 5th choice. So the counting of the rounds. So you saw in the mock election that the counting of the rounds started when no candidate received more than 50% of the first choice votes. So if you've been watching, we had a special election in Council District 24. And in that case, they had to wait until all of the votes are counted. So this is very important to note. Ranked choice voting does not extend the time. We've had 4 special elections in 2021. But I want to note this. Absentee ballots can be mailed as late as the day of election day. And so the Board of Elections now has to wait for all absentee ballots to come in, and all of those votes must be counted. Early election day affidavit and absentee votes have to be counted before they determine whether someone has won with more than 50% of the votes or whether or not it's necessary to begin counting rounds. And as you can see, the round by round vote totals have been released via the Board of Elections website, vote.nyc, for all the elections that have taken place so far. So why should voters use their rankings? Of course, this is giving you more choice, but it also gives your vote more power. And what do we mean by that? So for instance, we saw in the mock election, the beef noodles, they were in last place. Now let's say you voted for beef noodles and you didn't select any other noodles that you like. Well, if that's all you did, your vote would have been exhausted and your vote would have had no place to go once beef noodles, who was in last place in the first round, was eliminated. Even if your favorite candidate does not win, you still have a voice in who is ultimately elected to that office. Of course, you can vote your conscience without worrying about wasting a vote. We've all been in situations probably where we know a few people running in a race. We may think one person has a better chance than another, and so we don't know which way to go. In this instance, you can rank multiple people you may know in an election. And of course, ranking a 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th choice will never hurt your favorite candidate. And I'm going to say more about that later. So here are some frequently asked questions. How many candidates do I rank? So no matter how many candidates are running, you only have up to 5 rankings. Or you can rank as few as you like. You can still go in and vote for one person if that's what you want to do. You do not have to rank. So do I have to use all 5 rankings? As I stated just a second ago, you do not have to use all 5 rankings. Your vote will still count if you rank one person, if you just go in and vote for one person. If you rank 2, it will still count, 3 or 4, but you can only rank up to 5. Can I rank a candidate more than once? So it really doesn't help your candidate to rank them more than once. There's no such thing as super voting or bullet voting for a candidate. And I'll explain why when I get to the next slide. So does it hurt your favorite candidate to have a 2nd choice? So it doesn't. And this really connects back to the last slide. If you think about how ranked choice voting works, your vote only moves to another candidate or to your 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th choices if the choice before it was eliminated. So for instance, if in the mock election, you selected Japanese ramen as your favorite noodle, your ballot never went to the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th choices. And so that also goes back to ranking someone multiple times in the race. As long as your candidate stays in the race, your vote stays with them. So some key points to remember. As of right now, New York City voters have the option to rank up to 5 candidates for the offices of City Council, Borough President, Mayor, Comptroller, and Public Advocate. Voters can still go in and vote for one person if that's what they want to do. But If you decide to rank, you don't have to worry about wasting a vote, helping another candidate. And just to remind you, only rank people who you really want to vote for. You don't have to worry about splitting the vote between multiple candidates. And of course, last but not least, and probably my favorite thing, you don't have to worry about someone being elected to our local offices without at least being the consistent candidate of a majority of the people in the district. And so here's our contact information, which I will drop in the chat as well. And that concludes the presentation. I will now take questions.
Nicole, why do you only get one write-in candidate?
Well, that's always been the case, that you only receive one write-in option on the ballot.
I have a question. Hi, my name is Desiree. I'm from Ottawa. You explained this about, super voting or bullet voting for your favorite candidate. I was wondering if you had like a mathematical explanation behind it, because it seems like it could work. I don't know. I'm actually not good at math. That's why I'm a lawyer. But so I wonder, like, if I try to super vote, like what happens? Why won't it work if I put let's say I want to rank Nicole for all top 5 for this amazing presentation today. Why doesn't it help them?
So because let's think about how ranked choice voting works. So you vote for me, I'm your favorite, right? Your vote is only going to go to your second choice if I'm eliminated. So as long as, so it's basically like you're sending your vote to someone who's been eliminated. So it's not, so it's your vote will stay with your favorite candidate unless the candidate is eliminated. So as we saw with the mock election, if you voted for beef noodles as your first choice, and then beef noodles had the least amount of votes and was eliminated, that's when beef noodles votes went to their second choice. But if you rank Japanese ramen as your first choice, and you see Japanese ramen won the election, then your vote never went to your second, third, fourth, or fifth choice.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, if it's either you're in the bottom 2 and if it's not over 50%, then it will only matter you'll either be eliminated, or my vote will already be with my first choice will either be eliminated or already there. So when it comes to redistributing votes, my second and third and fourth will never be redistributed because my candidate is already there. There's nothing to redistribute because mine was never eliminated.
Exactly. So it's really based on, it's based on elimination. That is exactly, like your vote will stay with your first choice unless your first choice is out of the race for any reason. And then it will go to your second. If your second choice is out of the race, it will then go to your third. If your third is eliminated, it will go to your fourth and your fifth. But as long as those candidates stay in, your vote stays with them. So again, thinking of the example, if you voted Japanese ramen, if that's your favorite noodle, and that's what you picked as your first choice, then your vote stayed with Japanese ramen, because your Japanese ramen stayed in the race and ultimately ended up winning. And as well, though, as it stayed with your second choice as well. So if you pick the second choice, which I can't remember right now, but you picked the second choice, it stayed in the race, your vote stayed with that second choice.
Awesome. I don't know if you've thought about this, because this is a little petty, my next question, but what if I'm just not jiving with any of the candidates, but there's a candidate that I really am for sure, like I really don't want that candidate to have any position, no matter what. If my votes on the off chance does get redistributed, is there a mathematical form for that to make sure that, it doesn't support that candidate?
So the key to that, the answer to that is you just don't rank the person you don't want to win. That's it. there's no, because if they don't receive any rankings, they're not going to receive any votes. So you're, and I'm make sure that I distinguish the term. So it's not like you're getting 5 votes, you're getting 1 vote.
Right.
It's moving based on the process of elimination. So it moves as the candidate is eliminated. So you never rank someone who you do not want to win, period. That's the best advice I can give on that.
Awesome. Oh my gosh, this presentation was so helpful. I was so confused before I got here. So thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? I'm going to drop my contact information in the chat here. And I'm going to also ask you if you could complete a quick survey for us. Does anyone else have any questions? So without any questions, so what I'm gathering here is that everyone can now explain ranked choice voting to everyone they know. That's what this is telling me. When there are no questions, oh, I see a question, I see a hand.
You called us out, that's why. You can go on, Robin, if you would like it.
You had something that said round by round, the vote totals will be released to the general public.
Yes.
Now that's done only on the website?
Yes, that's where they release it, and I can just quickly show you here. Let's see, results. Quickly share my screen for a moment. So you can see here for the 15th Council District, that was the most recent special election. And these are the round by round vote totals. So this first round reflects all of the first choice votes. And then the process, the bars in red, correspond to those who have been eliminated each round. And so this is what's going to be on the Board of Elections website. And that's vote.nyc. I can put that in the chat as well.
Thank you. Now, my next question was on that sample ballot, I didn't see borough president. Is it because I have old eyes or?
Oh, I think borough president was missing, but it's a fake ballot. So, you know, there's no real names. Those are not real.
I know that.
So yes, yeah, it was just I think it's mayor, council, comptroller, and public advocate are the only races on there. But just to remember, the point of that is to, you know, based on what the Board of Elections has shared with us, all the ranked choice voting elections are going to be on the same ballot. And then other elections, you know, such as judicial races, those will not be ranked choice voting. Only mayor, comptroller, public advocate, borough president, and city council.
And Nicole, it's only for primaries also, right?
Yes,
For
yes,
special
it's only special elections and primaries only. It's not for the general election in November. This will not be used. Any other questions?
All right, any other questions for Nicole? I see in the survey, if you do think of additional questions after the fact, feel free to put them in there, and Nicole or someone from the team will respond. Nicole, we'd like to thank you for that amazing and informative presentation. I echo Desiree's comments that now I understand ranked choice voting, because I was talking about it earlier with someone and couldn't explain it well, so thank you for that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you. That's always my goal. If anyone has any questions afterwards, and maybe some of you are a little shy, I can't imagine this crowd being shy. If you want to ask me a question on the side, I put my email address in the chat, so it's there. And if you could take a moment to quickly complete the survey, and you know, if you have any other organization who you think would benefit from the trainings, just let us know. We're here to, you know, we have just about 37 days to go before this early voting and 47 days before the primary.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carl.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you. Thank you.